Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's show, The Fairies Part 1. The reason why I'm breaking this one up is because there's actually a lot of different fairies out there. So, right now on this one here, we're going to focus a lot more on the British Isle stuff with the fairies in there because many civilizations have different terms or different fairies or what they call a fairy and what they don't. So, on this one here, uh, it says fairy folk or the Fae are an ancient race of people who lived in the British Isles long before the Celts or the Anglo Saxons. They are believed to have descended from the, and you have to forgive me on this, Tulutha de Danann, a magical race who flew into Ireland in ships descending from the clouds on Beltane. The Fey folk are often known as the good folk or fairies, um, or how do you say that one? Fairies are a supernatural being who inhabit the other world. They are creatures with magical abilities and are found in folklore of multiple European countries. So that was just kind of one of the things that I'm looking at on here. So in my notes here, the Fae is the home of the Fae folk, which includes many different types of fairies. Most of the fairies are technically part of the Fae folk, but have a more specific name too. It's if I can talk today, it's sort of like us humans. We live in different countries, and we are citizens of whatever country we live or that we are from. And it's kind of that way with these fairies. Being the fairy world is different than our own, not every type of fairy is clearly defined. Their rules are different, and they don't always classify themselves in a way that's easy for us to understand. So basically, they like to make things difficult for us. I mean, and it's a common thing. That's reports. I mean, fairies are either doing something or good or doing something bad. I mean, it just depends on their mood, what you done to them, or just plain just how they are. They do live around us, but they stay away and keep to themselves mostly. They are known to travel from our dimension to others. There have been many reports of people seeing them and even following them into another dimension. Which, if you, I mean, I've heard stories, read stories about that growing up, especially over in Ireland, where stuff like that happens, like where a fairy would coax a young child to come to follow him, and they would take him to another dimension. Um, Says they are neither good nor bad. There have been reports of humans working with them, but they warn that you need to be careful when you're working with them. Obviously, it is said that you can learn magic from them. On the same token, if you anger them, they will wreak havoc in your life. Same if you come across a mischievous one. So I mean, right there, it's talking about already that um, things you can do to things you can do can also upset them. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to these fairy folk or fae folk. So the first one that I want to bring up, and that we are went too far, is this little devil right here. There we go. This is a brownie. Um, so the first one here, is, like I said, is a brownies. Brownies are a house type fairy. They are sorry, elf. I had Harry Potter in my head there for a second. They are commonly known in Scotland, England, and Germany, mostly and firstly in Scotland. They are considered the helpers of for farmers. They are said to shovel hay and feed livestock during the night. So these little guys, they're they're not really mischievous unless you mess with them. If you mess with them too bad, yeah, they're going to act up, and that's something that you got to worry about. It goes on to say they average around 3 foot tall, have pointed ears, and are brown in color. And Brother William, yes sir, house fairies, you are correct, my brother. Um, they don't have wings. They live underground when they don't have a family. This gives them a heavy earthly smell. It's been said that house elves from J.K. Rowling had gotten the inspiration from brownies. I can't really say for sure that's what it is, but that is a lot of rumor that goes around. That's how he came up with the house, elf Dobby. So, I mean, it may be possible because if you look at Dobby and the other house elves, they all look very similar to the brownies. Um, if they stick to a family for a long period of time, it is said that they bring that family good luck. They want to keep a clean home. They want you to keep a clean home. So I mean, it's important to them if you want a brownie to come along and be in your home, which is something I need to work on. You need to get it clean. If you keep it clean, then that's when you're going to have a brownie come and stay with you. And they like to attach themselves to a family. So I mean, if that's something you're interested, you need to think about that. They will help you do the chores, but not maintain your home for you. It is said that if you do not feed your brownies, they will get angry. They like milk, cookies, and honey. They like the feeling of being feeling the thought of, and so I mean that's something else you got to look at too is what they eat. And I mean that's that way with any kind of cryptid, supernatural, paranormal, whatever type out there. I mean when I'm doing cryptid investigations or hunts, whatever you want to call it, you got to think about that too. You got to figure out what to like. Well, these house elves ain't, or house elves. My gosh, I still got that stuck in my head. Sorry. These brownies ain't no different. So I mean, and you'll realize that with a lot of these different fairies that I'm going to talk about today, they want to keep what's natural for them and what they like in order for them to stay around. They are said to love pets and like being in households with pets. If you mistreat your pet, they will get angry. They will form special bonds with them. Most of your Scottish drawlings actually have them sleeping with a barn cat. For those of you who don't know what a barn cat is, a lot of us farmers tendency to have a lot of cats, and we like to have the cats out in the barn. It keeps the mice out of the feed and hay, because if you get urine or feces in the feed or hay, then your animals don't eat it, and it can also, if they do eat it, can poison them, which is very bad. So I mean that's I mean they provide a good chore for them to do is help keep them away. They have been known to come out at various times. Mostly they come out at night and hate to be spied on while they're doing chores. So that's something you got to think about too. You can't really just go looking for your brownie because they don't like that, and you can anger them and either A, lose them, or B, they start doing some stuff you don't want them to do. They like homes in rural areas, and the more the rural, the better. They like homes with plenty of hiding places. If you have a chest, a closet, or a secret doors, that is ideal for them. So if you're trying to set up your home to invite a brownie in, you need to keep that in mind. They want to be hidden. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be messed with. They want to be thought of. And that's what they're talking about here. They can form tight bonds with families that they live with, and even one member. They're also said to be split between two families. So there's stories of them that they bounce around between one house and another. So I mean that's something else to think about too. Although I didn't find a whole lot of them, there is some. They want no material gifts, only to receive thoughtful ones. Something like a comfy spot for them, and food works the best. So I mean, if you can set up a hidden spot for them to sleep and stay when they're not out helping doing chores at night when everybody's asleep, that's ideal. And I mean, so these guys are not really the mischievous kind. They're the helpers. They're the little dobbies, and so that's something to think about. Now, my next one here, these little devils, pixies. Uh, Pixies are about 4 inches tall, and they tend to live in gardens and woods. They are the type of fae that have the most contact with humans. They are well known in southwestern England's folklore. They can live in any wooded area or garden. So you ever think about it, if you actually see some of these drawings, which I wasn't able to save some of them, a perfect example of a pixie is Walt Disney's Tinkerbell. I mean, in all down and dirty, if you look at Tinkerbell and you learn about these pixies, that's what they are. They're that's what Tinkerbell is. She's a pixie, and and if you actually look about it, I mean, the movie Tinkerbell, look what all them elves were doing. They had a specific thing in nature that they did with a specific color, and we'll learn that here. That's what they're like. You can easily find pixies if you simply walk into the woods or a pretty patch of flowers. They will go anywhere where nature is. They do have wings, but they're known as earth or nature fairies. They're super tiny with human-like features, and there you go, William. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm glad you said that. That is true. Like my brother William Nighthawk here said here, this is why Native people leave little gifts in the woods and the forest. Yeah, I mean it's not just for pixies that they do it. They do it for a lot of other things too. Um, they're super tiny with human-like figures and um, delicate wings. They move extremely fast, much like a hummingbird. So I mean, if you ever get a chance to watch a pixie, you'll see how fast. Anybody who knows anything about hummingbirds knows their wings like move wicked fast. Well, the pixies are the same way. Some dress only in green. Hey, Tinkerbell, like I was talking about a little bit ago. Well, others prefer other colors of nature, like blue or yellow. They will choose an area or a community that live in to live in, but these communities get torn up quite often by these contractors out there building these subdivisions on all these other homes. So, I mean, that's a lot of things. A lot of people don't realize that. Um, when this happens, the pixie in the area will be traumatized and go into hiding. So, I mean, it's you got to be careful when you're doing construction, either building a subdivision or out on your property, to think about that, because you don't. There's more than just you got to consider when you're doing this stuff here. So, however, they may not leave unless the area is totally decimated. So there you go. I forgot about that. So if you are doing construction, it might be a good idea to leave a little spot left aside for them. Don't destroy the whole area if you're wanting to keep pixies around. I mean, that's something to take into consideration here. If you want to draw pixies into your yard, create woody areas or a pretty garden for them to live in. Pixies appreciate both shelter and nature, and they will always come to check out a cute little fairy house. So um, I've noticed this and quite a bit more here lately than what it used to be. People putting little fairy homes and gnome homes up in their gardens or around trees and stuff like that. And that's what this stems from. They're trying to invite in pixies or whatever else that they're trying to draw into. So when you're doing your construction and building your stuff, I mean, put that in mind. Like I said a little bit ago, if you're trying not to run them out, set aside for them. You know, put a nice little wooded area, or I mean, a nice pretty flower garden, and put your little fairy home in there. They like that stuff. They tend to enjoy contact with humans. They are very cunning and can delight in leading humans astray. So, I mean, right there, we're already talking about how they can be mischievous, can be ornery. Man, I am tongue-tied today for some reason. So I mean that there tells you they're both good and mischievous. Uh, they are typical mischievous types of there are typical mischievous type of fairies. On the other hand, every pixie will be a bit different since they all have their individual personalities. So I mean, you see that a lot in your Disney cartoons with Tinkerbell too. Is some of them had their different attitudes and different way of doing things. Well, that's because they have their own personality, just like you and I. Um, they don't understand human depression or pain. They play a lot of jokes for fun, but these jokes may not seem funny to people and could cause harm to humans. And so you got to consider that too. I mean, like we talked about in the beginning here, they don't think the way that we do. So, I mean, yes, it could be inconvenient what they're doing, but that's just their nature and how they are. So, if you're trying to invite these into your home, you got to consider that. Um, they are especially known to steal stuff from your home or take items and hide them somewhere else. So you can find them. So, I mean, it's treasure hunt. They like to treasure hunt. Um, However, as long as you treat them well and give them gifts that they approve of, they will probably respect you too. So, I mean, that's something to consider too. You got to know what they like and offer them gifts to help keep things calm and gain their respect and trust. They enjoy tiny houses, nectar, and honey. Leave a small offering out for them if you are interested in making contact. They especially love flowers, so planting blooms, especially those native to your area, will draw them towards your property. So I mean that goes back to what I was talking about a little bit ago. I mean, like a lot of things out there, and it's not just the fairy folk or the fae folk, is you want something native to your area because that's what they're used to and that's what they like. Find out what they like and put it out there. Um, you probably won't be able to find a pixie community because they're magically cloaked. Um, they don't. They're little villages and stuff like that. They're not easy to find. I mean, they're invisible. Has there been reports of people finding them? Yes, but that is very few and far in between. It's a very, 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 very rare thing for that to happen. So I mean, don't ever count on it. Um, they like to stay hidden, especially nowadays, due to the devastation of nature. They will come to your area if you create a beautiful natural spot. When you're giving gifts to pixies, consider what is natural to your region. In return for your gifts, pixies will help your gardens flourish and grow. So I mean that's one thing to consider when you're doing this is they will benefit you. At the same time, they will. I mean, as long as you respect them, they'll help you out, man. You got to pay them respect. So the next Fae folk, now this one here, like I said, we're doing more of the English and Celtic side of it. My people have a different. We don't really call them fairies, but to some, these are fairies, and that is these fellers here. That is the heart and soul of every woman's desire, an elf. According to mythology, there are both light elves and dark elves, and it's the same way in Norse and Germanic too. Because your light elves are like these guys, and your dark elves are your dwarves. Um, let's see here. Dark elves in the fairy kingdom. In general, legends about elves tend to be from European Germanic sources as well as Nordic and Icelandic. Elves are often depicted with blonde hair and blue eyes. Um, Legolas, right there. Legolas from Lord of the Rings, perfect example. Um, Out of the different types of fairies, elves are the closest to humans in size and structure. They are a bit slimmer, but are similar in height. Elves have high cheekbones and angular features compared to humans. They are also said to have mesmerizing eyes and pointed ears. So I mean that's something. I mean that's your typical what we grew up of elves of being. That's what they are. Um, so I mean it's kind of interesting how you know Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and all them. I mean, and most of the stuff in history do we or in movies and shows that's how accurate they are. There are many of the caves in Iceland that have government projects because that the government protects because three-quarters of the residents believe that the elves reside in that area. Elves are thought to be the types of fairies who typically place challenging changelings in humans' homes. This can occur for a variety of reasons, and we'll get into changelings here in a little bit. That's a nasty little ordeal. It's kind of a unfriendly deal in a way, I guess you can put it. While elves are sometimes friendly towards humans, they can also wreak revenge if they feel offended. They generally stay away from humans, especially when compared to other types of fae. Legend says that elves are the type of fairies that are the protectors and caretakers of the forest. So, I mean, that goes right back into, I mean, I know for me, a lot of what we learned in history, um, or not in history, but what I've learned in my life growing up about elves. I mean, like I said, I know more of the Nordic and Germanic side because that's where they're most prevalent from. I mean, they got their own little realm and everything in Nordic tradition. Um, they are usually tied to specific forests that they protect and live in groups. Elves are very smart and agile. They have a keener perceptions than humans, but use their senses in nature and avoid technology. So, I mean, that falls right into Lord of the Rings again. I mean, all the elves there that in that movie and a lot of the other ones were the same way. I mean, um, they're nature folk. I mean, they love to be in the nature and they take care of it. So, I mean, that's something to consider and think about. And yes, hello. I'm busy right now, Thor. Sorry, guys. My little pit bulls uh, having fun. Oh, yes, William. Not a problem. I'm glad you said something because I was thinking we was doing that right after this here. Um, so thank you for telling me that. For you guys that don't know, I'm jumping on with William Nighthawk. I thought I was doing it right after this show here. So Friday night at 11, because of a sad deal here, um, what we're going to do in part two of our giant show together. Keep William and his family in your prayers for this sad ordeal that's happening. But thank you for coming, William. Much love to you, brother. Um, get back over here. I'm just learning how to do these banner things, so I'm trying to get them up there to help people find me a little bit easier here. So, I mean, that's something to think about when you're dealing with these. I mean, your elves, you're going to find them in nature if they want to be found. Now, these guys here, I find interesting. To me, they speak of dwarf just because of my background, my family background, and everything. And these little fellas right here, the kobold. Ain't that a cute little dude? Uh, Kobolds are the type of fae who live in mines. They haven't been there haven't been very many sightings of kobolds, so it's hard to say exactly what they look like. Generally, kobolds are only interact with miners. Some kobolds are troublemakers and will undo the miners' progress, but others will actually help or knock on the tunnel to warn them miners of cave-ins. Now, I wasn't able to find a whole lot on them little dudes. Um, but to me, like I said, just coming from my side of it, when I hear that, I think dwarves. I mean, that's where I come across on that. Um, and next here's these little. These little dudes here. This is interesting. I've heard tales of stuff like this, but I can never remember what they are. Now I remember. Changelings. So changeling, and this is what we was talking about earlier with the elves. What the elves are most common ones to put changelings into human homes. Um, Changelings are a rather scary part of fairy legend. While they aren't exactly a type of fae, changelings are in a league all of their own. According to legend, a changeling is a fairy child that has been swapped from a human child or swapped for a human child. The changeling will grow up with human parents, but won't appear like a normal human child. And that's what's weird about these little dudes. Um, Man, they're just it's just I mean, like I said, it's not really a fae type. It's just something that these fairies do, and we'll get into more of that here in a moment. Um, Fairies swap babies for a few reasons. Each culture has its own legend. Sometimes a fairy will swap a sick fae child with a healthy human child. This fae child will either die in infancy or grow up sickly. Um, you will notice that they're beautiful and artistic with fairy features, even though they may be unhealthy. And I mean, there's stories all throughout history of that happening. Not as much nowadays, but there is in history. It was a common thing when you run into something like that to hear that you got a changeling. Um, Other fairies swap their babies because they want a beautiful human child and feel that their own baby is ugly, or to strengthen their bloodlines if there is any sickness. Sometimes a fairy will need a talent that only a human child can possess. Uh, Changelings are rare if they really exist anymore. The development of technology has made the practice of swapping babies dangerous for fairies. If you do encounter a changeling, you'll notice their fairy features. They won't look like their parents and will probably have some magical skills. They may also have trouble fitting in social, so, so blah, 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 if I could talk today, bad Lord, in social groups because fairies relate to each other in a different way. It is unclear if changelings ever truly existed or if this was a way to explain infant mortality rates in medieval times. I find that all legends have some bit of truth to them, and that's that's why I put that in there, is because it's true. You look at through any kind of myth or folklore or anything throughout any kind of religion, land, or whatever you want to call it, every bit of it has some truth to it. So there may be something to this in the old days, but like it says now, and like I was talking about earlier, not as much as there used to be. So can it still happen? Yeah, it's possible, but we have too much of this stuff here and these little things here, and along with all these security cameras we got up all over the place, these wireless ones, it makes it hard for them to do that nowadays. Um, these little cuties. Let me switch my banner here. All right, these little cuties here are a common one from my childhood, and these are devas. Devas are small fairies that look almost like fireflies. If you live in a woodsy area, you have probably seen devas without even knowing it. The devas originated in Persia and Greece. Devas appear to as bright orbs or lights in nature, although they're particularly found in wooded areas. So, and this is a common thing they use in a lot of movies and shows when they're trying to hit that mystical woods and all this stuff. That's usually who you're seeing flying around is Well, this right here, I mean, like I was showing right there, that's a common one for that, and they're the most probably the most widely known fairy, and a lot of people don't even know who they are. Um, they love being around well cared for plants. They are known to guide medical researchers or witches seeking to use plants for their uh, medical purposes. However, however they don't stay near a plant that is decaying. So if you're trying to attract them, that's something to keep in mind. You don't want dead or decaying plants. They're not a big fan of that. They're cool, but I mean, how many times we? I mean, how many? Like me, I mean, growing up when I was a kid, I was out chasing fireflies all the time or trying to catch them. Who knows how many times I've probably seen them out there and never realized. I know for a fact I didn't caught one because I, messed around with fireflies every time I caught them. But that's what they look like. They look like a bunch of fireflies flying around the woods. So that's interesting. Um, Make sure I ain't missing no comments here. Thank you everybody who's in here and watching. And thank you to everybody who comes in and watches later on. If you guys got any comments or concerns or questions, please feel free to let me know in this little thing here, and I'll get to them. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If I can't answer it now, well, we'll work on getting it together, and I'll get you an answer one way or another. Um, these are cool little things. I known them as something else, but according to the Fae lore, dryads. Now, dryads are a type of fairy that are tied to trees. While they aren't the actual spirit of the tree, um, and are a type of fae, if the tree dies, the dryad dies or will die too. Dryads don't typically travel from their trees. They're very attached to one specific area and will do everything in their power to keep their trees alive, which is funny. And I didn't think about this before. Let me see if I can get this pulled up and add it into my deal here. I should be able to. And I'll show it here in a minute. Let me get it uploaded. I actually found a really cool thing. I don't remember. Let me give me 1 second, guys. I apologize. Let me figure out what folder I have this in. Might be September. Yes. Is it actually my actual picture? So I may have moved it out. No, it's not. Give me 1 second. I apologize. Okay. Let me find the right one here. Oh, nope, it's not that one. Ooh, nope, it's not that one. No, I've got a really cool picture, and I did not think about this when I was in here yesterday. That really, really goes well with this here. Did I put it in the wrong? I may have put it in the wrong one. I know I seen it yesterday, so I hope I didn't accidentally delete it. That would suck. I've got a lot of stuff here. Nope, not that one. Let me go in here and make sure I didn't put it in the wrong one. Okay, accidentally deleted it. Wait, no, go in here. So I can't go in there yet. Just yet. Huh. I'll have to try to find it later. I don't know what I did with it. It really sucks because that was something that fits with these guys really well. And it's aggravating that I can't find it. And, but man, it's, what it is, folks, is I actually found a tree with a face in it. And, oh, I found it. Ha ha. That is it. I found it. Okay. So, let me find it's in this one. Ha ha. Okay, let me pull my notes back up here. While that's loading. Baiting with Reese's Pieces. There you go. I mean, that might work. That might actually work. I don't know, but that is. I know it'd work for me. I mean, I'm a fluffy guy, so I mean, Reese's is a weakness. Anything peanut butter or chocolate, I know it's going to drag me in there. So be careful you don't try to drag me over there. These type of fae will look favorably. I lost my spot. Upon humans, if they hey 9, stop 9. Sorry, guys. They can be a bit shy, but when they see a human taking care of their environment and treating animals and nature well, they're more likely to be opened up to you and communicate. You'll be able to tell if you have a dryad in your yard if any of the trees have a face, and that was this thing here that I was wanting to talk to you about or wanted to show you. I actually found this on one of my investigations. Yeah, I mean you can see the eyebrows, the nose, and the mouth, and that's funny. As I didn't think about it when I found this, I just took it because I was like, man, cool. This looks like a face, or kind of looks like boobs. And then I start reading more on these dryads, and this is what they're talking about. I mean, you're more apt to find them. This is not on. This ain't on my property, so this ain't where I was looking at them at. But man, it either way, it's cool. You'll be able to tell if you have a dryad in your yard if any of the trees have a face face on them. Alternatively, they will feel an active, different energy around the tree. This indicates that the tree spirit also has a dry. So if you're around a tree and it kind of feels different, kinds of feels alive, which I mean, on my Native American side, they're all living creatures. They all have spirits, so that's common to us on that. But it talks here. I mean, if you feel that, you get one around one tree and it feels different, it feels strange, there you go. You very well could have one living in that tree. If you want to chat with a dryad in your backyard, first show them your spirit by taking care of your trees. After a bit, they will begin to trust you. It is easier to communicate with them if you're actually touching the tree or standing on the ground with your bare feet, since they communicate through the earth. They are some of the sweetest types of fae that you can find. So I mean, and that's a lot of common. I mean, even throughout Native American history, and I don't know if William's still on here or not. And I feel sorry for my brother there. He's going through some stuff. If you are, I mean, he can back up what I'm saying. Native Americans preach all the time about be connected to the earth and the energy of the earth, and you part of your body's got to touch it and be and connected to it. That's how you communicate, and that's what they're talking about on these guys here is that there. I mean, it's like that with a lot of stuff though. It's not just in dryads. I mean, it's a lot of things in nature. If you connect yourself and become one with Mother Earth, you are opened up to hearing a lot of other stuff and that you wouldn't know that you or exist. Native Americans always talked about we heard it from the wind or the trees or the grass, and that's why they were connected through a means like this. This last one that I'm getting ready to talk about, I have a hard time pronouncing it correctly. Um, but it's one that I used in my Saga of Grimson book 2, Black Death, just because of what is entailed with these guys. There you are. Dewine City. These are very awesome. A lot of stuff known about them. In my book, Saga Grimson, Book 2, Black Death, she actually comes to the aid of Grimson and Jarl Roberts to help them fight the Dark Druids that is wreaking havoc on the land, causing the Black Death. And that's where that book's based off of, was the theory that the Dark Druids brought about the Black Death. But because of their abilities and the stuff known about them, that's why I used them in that book. They are a type of land fae known for their blood work, illusions, and vivid colorations. They are descendant from Ira Rosahari and are claimed by Titania. Sorry. They first appear in Rosemary and Rue. They are the first nobility of the fairies and hold the majority of the titles and positions. Their dominance stems from their firstborn, Evening Winter Rose, who ordered ordered them to conquer the fairies to earn her love. Many of them, without any titles or claims, came to become desperate to attain power. In rare cases, even willing to start wars. Some, like the father of Medea Solis, can be content with just being barons, despite being the lowest rank among the nobility. So, you're reading right, or already right there, you can tell that nobility is very important to them. They're a hierarchy. They are bright and vibrant, like a fairy tale. Their hair and eye coloring are especially colorful, ranging from bronze to green to fox fur red. They are skilled in blood magic and able to trace memories through blood. When that sounds a lot like your that Underworld movie right there, where they taste the blood of the person in charge and get all the memories of what happened while they were asleep. They live through that person's activities and consequences. They can be used to see the final moments of someone who has died, to verify the truth of a statement, or even to see a memory through their subject's eyes. They are also skilled illusionists, a testament to them being descendants of Titania. It is the Irish term for a supernatural race in Irish mythology and Scottish mythology, comparable to the fairies or elves. They are said to live underground in fairy mounds across the Western Sea, or in an invisible world that can coexist with a world of humans. They are ferociously said to be ancestors, variously said to be ancestors, the spirits of nature, or goddesses and gods. Aes or Doain translates to people, and Sidhi translates to mounds. To Irish and Scottish, they are the people of the mounds. So that's why I chose them. They got a lot of abilities, and if you read my book, you'll see in there why they are the way they are, and why I chose them, because of what they did. They provided a much needed aid for Grimson and Jarl Roberts. That's all I have on them today, but it's kind of interesting. If you go throughout Ireland and Scotland, they talk about fairy mounds all the time. and they'll warn you, if you mess with a fairy mound or you chase a fairy to their fairy mound, they will wreak havoc in your life or on your home. So I mean, that's something to keep in mind if you're trying to mess with them. They're not someone to mess with. Who knows what? Um, I mean, I personally have never seen one myself, but there's a lot of stuff out there that says it's true. I remember my times in Ireland and Scotland. I mean, that is very, very, very prevalent. They have areas marked off, do not cross, because they're fairy mounds. And even in my book, I talk about when Grimson almost walks over this mound, Jarl Roberts grabs him and pulls him away. Said, "No, man, that's a fairy mound. Do not touch that." And it's very, very prevalent in them cultures and them lifestyles. They do not want you messing with it. They protect them areas over there. And a lot of people to this day still believe in them and still they don't want you to mess with them. I'm probably going to cut this one off a little short today. Doesn't seem to be a lot of people in here right now. If you watch this later on and you have any interest on anything or any questions, feel free to shoot me a message. One thing I forgot to put on there, if you have any stories, I'll put this up here. Let me make this banner and put it up for you. If you have any stories and you want to share them with me and you want me to read them, email them to this address. Oops. I've done one story earlier this week from Rachel. She sent me in her ghost story. Um, by all means, man, hit me up on that. And oops, I didn't do what I wanted it to. Let me fix that. There we go. Shoot me your stories and I'll read them and put them on here and I'll get them out there. And like I always say, if you want to be anonymous, I'll keep you anonymous. That's not an issue. That's not a problem. Um, Let me know what you think and what you want, and I'll go ahead and cut this off today. And everybody who came in, anybody who commented or anything like that, thank you so much for coming. With all them podcasters out there, the fact that you came to mine and hear me rant and talk and all that, I appreciate it. And a closing that I had come up with, I'm still working on it, but I'll go ahead and read it. This is just a little something I wrote to help in my lives. There comes a time when the warrior falls. They leave this realm and will be missed by all. Raise a glass and keep them in your heart. They have kept this realm safe and performed their part. Look to your veterans, your active duty, and your EMTs, and the blue line. They have all what they do or have done was walk that fine line. When the demon comes calling on your soul, they will be there to save us all. Hold them in your prayers, for they are deserving. They have all served and are serving. So with that closing, remember, man, keep um, all your first responders, your veterans, and all that, your hospital staff, keep them in your thoughts and prayers, y'all. They go through some hard stuff. They've seen hard stuff. I mean, I know personally, I've been there myself. Keep them close to you. Thank them for their service. And if any of you are watching this later on, thank you for what you do from the bottom of my heart. All those who served before me, thank you. If it wasn't for you, I couldn't serve. So I'm truly blessed that you was able to defend our rights to allow me to be able to serve. And to all those of who served while I did, thank you very much. We've seen some stuff. And to all those who's about ready to serve, man, get out there and get it done. We'll pass the torch on to you. It is a great honor to be a warrior for this great country. And I cannot thank you enough for sacrificing what you're about to sacrifice or have sacrificed or are sacrificing now to serve this country, either as a first responder or veteran or medical field. So, guys, thank you very much. I'll be tweaking on that ending soon. It's just something I kind of wrote. So, y'all have a blessed day, and thank you for coming.